Hello and welcome back for another week of Hospo Happy Hour, proudly brought to you by Hospo for Life and Warner's Distillery. I hope you all had a great weekend and are looking forward to today's episode as much as we are. Up for the first round today is John Cosentino teaching us the benefits of exercise to manage your mental health. Then for last drinks, we'll be chatting with very special guest, award-winning multimedia food and wine presenter, Lyndie Milan. Let's kick the week off. Up for their first round on the show, we have John Cosentino joining us from OC Health by Altius Group. John brings over 25 years experience in exercise physiology. He established OC Health Network in 1997, supporting people in their recovery and transforming their lives faced with injury. In 2007, OC Health Network joined with Altius Group. The only way to get back to normal is to do normal things. John motivates people to embrace the idea that rest is not an option. Instead, targeted, graded, supported recovery empowers people to realize their health potential. How are you today, John?
Oh, I'm great, thanks, Liam. Yourself?
Yeah, brilliant. So tell me more about the benefits of exercise to manage your mental health.
Yeah, thanks, Liam. Look, with COVID-19 going on at the moment, you know, these are definitely uncertain times, and unfortunately, social distancing doesn't really discriminate when it comes to affecting someone's mental health. You know.
That's right.
Yeah, so we all know that exercise is good for your physical health, but you may not know that it's also great for your mental well-being. You know, so how do we look at exercise improving mental health? Well, exercise releases endorphins, and I'm not sure if you know what endorphins are or serotonin. Yeah, endorphins are happy hormones. So when released in the brain, they make us happy and relaxed, and serotonin is responsible for our mood and appetite and sleep. So without these chemicals, it basically leaves us tired and anxious, stressed and generally unhappy. So that's why, yeah. So a lot of your viewers out there may not be working at the moment because of the restrictions brought about by COVID-19. Now, from my understanding of the hospitality industry, you guys are very active. You work long hours, you're always on your feet, you're constantly moving, and it's important to know that work actually makes up about 10 to 15 hours of movement per day. And that's if you count, getting up in the morning and traveling to work and working your 8, 9, 10, 12-hour days and then traveling home. So when you take work out of the equation, you're probably moving for about 1 or 2 hours, which is a massive difference on what you would normally do. And this reduction in activity kind of leads to all sorts of issues like, your muscles shrink, your muscles shrink, your endurance takes a dive, your bones weaken, your body weight changes, your joints will ache more, especially if you're on the older side. And we've all gone through that, and this is because the research out there indicates that people start losing condition 24 hours after they reduce their activity levels, and depending on how active you were, you can lose 30 to 40% of condition in 5 to 6 weeks. So imagine
I agree with that.
Yeah. So imagine what happens as time goes on. We call this deconditioning. And, if you have a look at professional sports people out there, they play their season from usually March till September. And these guys are elite athletes. They stop their season for 1 or 2 months and they return to pre-season training. So if they lose a lot of their conditioning in a short period of time, imagine what happens to us.
Oh, big time. And I know personally how it affects you. Like from being a consultant a couple of years ago, one of the venues that I was in, I was walking 7 Ks a day.
Wow. Yeah, exactly.
Just around the hotel.
Yeah.
And some kitchens over the years, it's been the same thing. You might only be moving short steps backwards and forwards, but the amount of steps that you're getting in, you end up doing 3 or 4 kilometers just in a small kitchen in a day.
Yeah, definitely.
Exercise.
Look, definitely. And the easiest way to track that is to download one of those step counter apps, or if everybody's got a Fitbit and you wear it, and you'll be really surprised to see how many steps you can do when you're moving all day,
Absolutely.
But further on from the physical sort of issues that come about, the lack of activity changes the function of your brain essentially, because there's less blood flow to the brain and this affects mood and mental health. So even when healthy people become inactive, levels of depression or anxiety can increase after as little as 7 days. So keeping active whilst in isolation is crucial to protect our mental health in the short and long term.
Yeah. Well, let's take a look at what we have here. So we've got the benefits of exercise on mental health, and I think it's been a pretty big topic over the last couple of weeks on the show. And maybe a few of the viewers, maybe a few of you at home think it's might be a little bit repetitive, but it's actually so important that we look after our mental health by exercising a lot. So tell us what we have here on the first slide, John.
Yeah, look, there's tons and tons of research out there of the benefits of exercise on mental health, and all you have to do is Google, exercise and mental health, and you'll see how exercise now is being used as a frontline strategy in improving, mental health. When you look at something like depression, the Black Dog Institute, I think, out there said that, the 16 weeks of regular exercise has been found to be effective as taking antidepressant medication to treating mild or moderate depression, and that's without the side effects. So that's always going to be a good thing. Research was also found that running for 15 minutes or walking for an hour reduces the risk of major depression of up to 26%. So it's exercise is a really powerful strategy in managing people's mental health. Some of your viewers would also be pleased to know that exercise stimulates the growth of new brain cells and helps prevent age-related decline. So if you want to feel smarter and younger, start exercising. It also gives you a better physical appearance. We know that, which will, improve confidence and self-esteem, and it also helps you sleep. And I know you've had Sharon discussing sleep on here, previously, but exercise helps you rest fully at night, and that makes you wake up more energized during the day. And at the moment I have a 1-year-old running around at the moment, so I'm really realizing the value of a good sleep. And I might be stating the obvious, but exercise makes you fitter and gives you more energy, so you don't have to rely on multiple coffees or energy drinks to get you through the day. And lastly, but certainly not least, exercise provides us with stronger resilience. So when faced with mental and emotional challenges and what we're going through right now, exercise can really help you in a healthy way instead of resorting to other sort of things like alcohol or drugs or other negative behaviors that will ultimately make you feel worse.
Yeah. No, definitely agree with that.
Yeah, so there are some really practical exercise tips out there to improve your mental health. Now at the moment we can't anyway because of the restrictions, but you don't need to join a gym to exercise. Activities such as swimming or walking the dog or jogging while listening to music, riding a bike, gardening, bushwalking, washing the car, yoga, lifting weights. All these activities can be beneficial for your mental health. In fact, there's really no one type of exercise that has been shown to be better than any other than improving your mental health. So you're better off actually choosing an activity you enjoy. But I suppose the most common form of activity that we do is walking. So a 30-minute brisk walk a few times a week is a good place to start, and we can build up from there. It's better to do something than nothing, and and every little bit can help. Go on, Liam, sorry.
Yeah, no, I've known the benefits of that for the past couple of weeks, and I've been getting a walk in the mornings instead of getting a coffee, and replacing it with exercise instead. But I sleep a lot better too now.
Yeah, look, it's been great, and a lot of your viewers might have noticed, but it's been great seeing a lot of people out there walking more than what would normally be, outside COVID-19. So I just hope it becomes a habit for a lot more people, because once you get going and build up your fitness, it's kind of generally recommended that you do 30 minutes of vigorous exercise at least 5 days a week. So vigorous just means that you're putting enough effort in so it's difficult for you to have a conversation while you're exercising, and try to get outside. Being in nature has extra mood boosting properties. So, a lot of research indicates that outdoor exercise, was associated with increased energy and mood as well as decreasing stress and anger. So when compared to exercising indoors, so get outside if you can.
Yeah.
And probably most importantly, try to be kind to yourself. If you haven't exercised for a while, don't overdo it. For many, this may trigger thoughts of being too hard on yourself or failure that might leave you to give up exercise entirely. So just be kind to yourself and set realistic goals.
Yeah, I know. I'm not having issues with my mental health right now. I'm having issues with my weight.
It's not your weight, Liam, it's your height.
trying to get rid of the bulge.
Yeah, no dramas. But just to sum up on what we've sort of gone through, just remember, it takes about 3 months to change a habit. So treat each day as a fresh start and remind yourself that it's actually human to drop the ball occasionally, but it's really important that you do stick at it and be consistent. Aim for that 5 days a week of exercising for 30 minutes. Get up and move you regularly throughout the day, outside preferably. And remember, exercise is, remember prevention is always, better than the cure.
Yeah, it's a good message.
Definitely.
There we go. That. So yeah, have we got any other tips that we can leave our viewers with, and that for the week?
Yeah, look, as I said, I think the main ones is look, make a clear plan. Starting exercise, of course, the hardest part is motivation and getting started. If you're waiting for motivation to arrive at your doorstep before you start exercising, you might be waiting a long time. The truth with motivation is it actually comes after you take action, and not before. And by starting small and achieving some wins, you give motivation a chance to build and keep building.
Yeah, no, good advice, John. And so thanks for joining us on the first round today. We're going to catch up with you again in our next segment, Your Shout. So we'll see you again soon.
Look forward to it. Thanks, Liam.
Thanks, John. So we're joined again by John for Your Shout. Remember to send through your questions from home if you have them to info@hospoforlife.com.au, or you can send us a direct message via social media. Our first question comes from a viewer in New South Wales today. It says, how can I make the first move to exercise when I have a total lack of motivation?
Yeah, that's the $1 million question. It's a great question. I get it. When you're feeling stressed or low, you probably feel like staying in bed or watching TV rather than being active. But it's during this time that you need to move your body most. So I guess the first point of action would be to make a clear plan. Take the daily decision making out of the picture. The do I or don't I exercise today? A clear plan makes you go ahead with something like exercise that much easier. And also set some realistic goals. It might start off with a 10-minute walk and build up from there. When you're feeling low and stressed, it's really important to put some healthy habits in place to give you the best opportunity of coping with life's challenges. So, staying active is one of those habits, but it's not the only one. Other things like sleep and eating well and staying connected with people that you love also play a major role in good mental health.
Definitely does. We've got another question which has come all the way from the top end of one of the first. It says, are there any good diets to maintain a healthy mind?
Another good question. I'm no dietitian, Liam, but and that's probably a full segment in itself. But I guess here are some some foods that people can incorporate into their diet to give them better health. One is definitely fish. Fish is a rich source of omega-3s, and omega-3s play an important role in sharpening memory and improving mood. A lot of viewers will probably be interested to know that coffee can help boost alertness and mood, but only in moderation. So don't overdo the coffee, but it helps boost your alertness. Another food that you probably should look at incorporating into your diet are blueberries. They're packed with a lot of antioxidants that may delay brain aging and improving memory. For the kids out there, broccoli creates a lot of vitamin K, which has anti-inflammatory effects, which is good. Pumpkin seeds are rich in nutrients. Chocolate's a good one that helps protect the brain. Nuts are always good. They're brain boosting nutrients as well. Oranges are a rich source of vitamin C that can defend against brain damage. Eggs are another thing that you can incorporate into your diet, and green tea. A lot of people drink green tea, and it helps with relaxing you. So they're just some foods that people can incorporate into their diet. There's many foods out there that help keep your brain healthy. There's a lot of those fruits and vegetables on the list that help. You can support your brain health and boost your alertness, memory, and moods strategically by putting these foods into your diet.
That you can, and more colour the better. And all your colourful fruits and vegetables are extremely good for you.
Nah, definitely, and the coffee and chocolate in moderation.
Nah. Well, thanks for joining us for your shout today, John, and we hope you have a wonderful week. Thanks
for having me, Lee, and enjoy the week, and to all your viewers out there as well.
My pleasure. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Cheers. Next, we welcome up for last drinks today's special guest, Lyndie Milan. Lyndie has over 30 years experience in the hospitality industry with multiple television food series and cookbooks. She is the former editor of the Australian Women's Weekly and was the Vice President of the Royal Agricultural Society of New South Wales. In 2014, Lyndie was awarded an Order of Australia for her service to the hospitality, food and wine industry and the community. She currently sits on the Food and Wine Advisory Council for Tourism Australia and is the Creative Director of Flame Media. How are you, Lyndie? How are you?
I'm great. I should just say I was Food Director of the Australian Women's Weekly, not the editor.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Got that off straight away.
Not to worry.
No, so tell us, what have you been up to pre-COVID, and how have things changed since for you?
Oh, well, it's dramatic. My partner and I, who co-own Flame, our television company, for the last 2 years have been living half the time in London. He's there usually more than me, but I'm usually there for 3 months at a time. So we'd gone over in February, and we actually went to Egypt. And like when we were in Egypt, there was, we knew about COVID, but you didn't hear about it.
Yeah.
And then we got to London on the 8th of March, and suddenly it just escalated.
Mm.
So finally on the 21st of March, we thought we'd better get home.
Yeah.
Because we thought, if something does go wrong, we've got better access to medical help here. And we booked a flight, and then by the next day we thought, it's not soon enough. So we brought the flight forward, cost extra.
Yeah.
And then we woke up the morning that we were going to leave to find out that we missed the new deadline by 6 hours, and we would be locked in a hotel room for 2 weeks. John, my partner, said, let's not go. Let's wait it out in London. We've got a lovely flat there.
Yeah.
I said, look, we've decided. So, let's go. So we did. And so we were the first lot of people to be locked up in a hotel.
Mm.
And there were so many different authorities involved, and no one had actually thought it through. So it was a bit of a bum fight at the airport.
Yeah.
And no one had really thought through the logistics. And So we were there for 2 weeks, and I tell you, it's pretty tough when there's no fresh air.
Oh,
I opened the door into the corridor. The corridors were patrolled by security guards, police.
yeah.
Variously, there was always police there, and variously there was Army or Navy or Air Force, and then private security guards. So I opened the door into the hallway one day just to get some air, and we were told to close it. And I think the hard thing was, not knowing what was going on. The rules changed every day. You could get deliveries, you couldn't get deliveries, you could get sent wine, you couldn't get sent wine.
Yeah.
But we survived pretty well. And it's interesting with what your topic is today. And without discussing it, we just adopted a routine.
Yeah.
So,
how do you do that? Like, I mean, like, I know if I was cooped up in a hotel room for 2 weeks, I'd go absolutely stir crazy. And that, but sort of, without having ways and means to exercise properly or...
Well, I'll tell you what we did. So we'd get up in the morning. And the other thing too is you can't get over your jet lag.
Yeah.
Because you're not in the fresh air and sunshine. Anyway, so we get up in the morning, we'd have a cup of tea, clear the urgent emails, and then we'd exercise. I downloaded a couple of apps. Some friends sent me stuff, and we'd do about half an hour of Pilates online. And then we'd shower and get dressed, and then we'd work. We'd break at lunchtime and just to sort of sit and have lunch, try and have a bit of a normal thing. And then in the afternoon, we'd either do another bout of exercise or we'd walk a kilometre. Now, you can walk a kilometre in a hotel room. It just takes a lot of circuits. But I think that was really important. And then we'd try to stop work at about, 6 or 7 because, of course, we're trying to pivot the business at the same time. Like we've got him, we had about, 40, 50 staff around the world. We try to stop usually dinner came at 6. So we'd stop then, and then we'd try and watch something on TV.
Yeah.
Just, and then we'd go to bed early.
What was the food like? I watched quite a few of your videos, which you posted.
Well,
it didn't look too crash up.
To start off, it was absolutely diabolical.
Yeah.
And it was, I think the worst was the second night, and it came at about 9:30.
Yeah.
And it was just this sort of dried up gnocchi with a white sauce, no cheese, nothing. But I have to say, the hotel, it was the Hilton Hotel, they absolutely did their best. They changed the food provider the next day.
Yeah.
And it really improved. It then dipped again. I think they probably had a different chef on or whatever. So by then we were able to get care packages. So I was very lucky that my sister sent about 3 care packages.
Yeah.
A couple of friends sent dinner, because you're eating out of Chinese containers, disposable cutlery. It was always lukewarm. So I used to fill the sink in the bathroom with boiling water out of the kettle and try and warm it up,
Oh, no.
And we got this, you'll laugh being a chef. So we had risotto. It was risotto one night. So I had a little pat of butter left from lunchtime because I hadn't had the bread. And so I had the boiling water from the kettle, and I put the butter on and I poured a bit of boiling water over, and I forked the butter through, and then I stirred through some rocket that I had. So there you
go. Yeah, I think it's been tough for a few. I've been chatting with the executive from the Marriott, and the way they had to handle it was, literally they found out overnight as well what was going on, from being a hatted restaurant to then all of a sudden turning around and going, oh, we've just got to feed them what we can and what we can get. Such a big change.
Yeah, and look, the thing is, the hotels aren't in charge either, because it's the police or the sheriff's office or whoever that's in charge, and a lot of them had put their staff on, job seeker or whatever, so they weren't geared up to do it. So there's absolutely no criticism of the hotels. They got lumbered with it as well.
Yeah, like we all have. It's definitely affected like so many ranges of companies and businesses for the food industry. It's been...
Well, I can tell you no one's making television at the moment.
Yeah, I know that one too. So your thoughts on positive actions that we can take to and that for us or our friends or colleagues going through this at the moment, and what are some things that you've done differently to like cope with your mental health during this time?
Well, I think with us, it was sticking to a routine that sort of replicated normal life, getting dressed, shoes on, the whole bit, I think, and then having regular exercise. I think that's really important. We were really concerned when we'd been in there a week, just in our corridor alone, there were 4 screaming fits from 4 different bedrooms of people who just, wow, it was just too much. And I understand why. It was absolutely terrible. And 2 of the people from us had to go they were from Tasmania. So they did 2 weeks like we did. Then it took them a couple of days to get a flight to Tasmania. Then they got locked up again in Hobart. Yeah. So, I'll tell you what it has done. It's made me really cross when I see people not following the rules outside, not social distancing and not doing all of that. But I think it's really good to find some focus in each day. So I absolutely didn't watch the news. I didn't read any of the COVID stuff online. And I made my isolation diaries every day. So that was one thing that I did, every day anyway. And I think it's really good to have some sort of routine and some focus to keep you going. We didn't sit around saying, poor us, because that's not going to help you. We sat around just getting on with it, And in fact, I'm more resentful about it now than I was at the time. I think at the time we were just getting through it.
Yeah, I know when it happened. I was the same for like 2 weeks. And then I realized like I had to switch off. Like the news, you're looking for an answer and you're just not getting it. And you might as well just turn off from it and then go do your own thing from there. And I mean, it's been a lot better on my health since doing that. And yeah, especially routine as well. Going about your day still, you've got to do it.
And now that we're home, like we make sure that we go for a walk every day. We'll do the Zoom Pilates now. Not what I was doing with the app, but my local place where we used to go and do Pilates, we can do Zoom classes online. It's fantastic for half an hour. It's great. So we do that, but we make sure we have a walk in the fresh air and sunshine every day. And at the moment when it's got colder, we pick the time of day. We get up, might do Pilates or not. I'll look at the temperature and say, like, for example, today I said, okay, it's going to be warmest at 11. So we went for a walk at 11. And we try to have a little ritual too. The local cafes are open for takeaway. So we buy coffee. I used to never buy coffee because I've got an espresso machine at home, but we buy coffee from a different cafe each day just to try and, spread the love.
Yeah. No, I know a lot of, because we're both from the North Shore. I know there's been a lot of cafes doing it tough up here. And yeah, we're the same. You try and pick one over the week, which you want to, help out and that, and go and visit them and at least, say hi to them and have a chat about things and that, give them some sort of hope.
Well, I think that's really important talking. And also the thing is we need to find ways to have some fun. I don't look at all this COVID jokes either because they just did my head in. But sometimes it's fun to have a drink with your friends over Zoom. Yeah. Before we left London, when we were able to go out and walk every day. But a friend of mine and I, we started a cocktail competition, and you had to have one that we started with A, B, C, and come up with one, each day. Then once I got to the hotel lockdown, I couldn't do that anymore, of course. But we hook up with friends in Western Australia and a friend who's a politician actually in the UK. We catch up with them on a Sunday. Other times we've caught up and, have a drink with someone virtually. I mean, now, of course, we can have 2 people. That was great. We had 2 people for dinner, but we were socially distanced. And, that sort of, you felt like you'd won the lottery.
I tell you what, I'm looking forward to going out and doing some dinner parties again, for sure. And I'd say I'm looking forward to doing some dinner parties again, that's for sure.
Yeah, sorry, I interrupted you.
No, you're
I long for a plate of beautifully plated food, hot food, that I haven't cooked.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I'm after.
Yeah. No, I think we all are. And I've been like craving it for the last few weeks. But I guess the good thing with the times that we're living in is, you know, people, I guess, wouldn't have felt so socially isolated, and that because we have got ways and means through, whether it's Zoom or, you know, different link ups and that, to be able to have those video chats. And I think it's kind of pulled the community together, and that a lot better than, you know, people just isolating themselves and going, I've got no one to, you know, lean on.
I think weirdly, we're more isolated, but we are in many ways more connected. And you just see, and the tone's changed as well. Everybody's really friendly and supportive on Facebook. When I started doing my video diaries, I got trolled a bit, but I just blocked them and deleted them. But if you look at the posts on Facebook, everyone's being really encouraging of one another. And that's important. The only problem is that someone who's got mental health issues is usually isolated, and that isolation gets worse. Yeah. And so it's a matter of checking in on your friends. You know, I had a friend who lives near me who was doing it tough. And I said, look, I'm just going to go to your local shops at 10 o'clock on Monday. She just happened to be there. So, you know, we got a coffee and, you know, so, you know, it's just good to check in on your friends.
Yeah, that's one thing that we've really highlighted over the past fortnight, is to check up on each other, and that, or, you know, not feeling guilty that if you do need to ring someone, like give them a call and that, and say hi, and that, so you've got that connectivity with one another, and that, so you don't feel, you know, lonely or, you know, depressed.
I think there's something about seeing each other too. So we had a global hookup with about 20 odd of our producers last week, because we often have these meetings, usually in London, and we'd had to cancel it. And afterwards I felt uplifted seeing their faces. So my whole screen was little boxes of like 20 people, and the person who's talking comes to the fore, but seeing their faces, it changed how I felt.
Yeah.
Really amazing. So I think like this, it's really nice to be able to eyeball someone.
Yeah, it definitely is. And it's good to be able to hit the viewers that we're hitting each week, and, you know, the faces which are obviously watching us, and that, and what we're delivering. It's been great to do so, and that, and just give them that positive outlook.
Yeah, and the other thing too is you can be supportive on social media. There are some amazing initiatives, you know, Eat Alone Together and Hospo for Hospo. And I read in the press, you know, Neil Perry's teamed up with Ronnie Khan from Oz Harvest to feed. And, you know, the problem is there's people who slip through the gaps. Yeah. So foreign workers in Australia who've been sponsored by a restaurant, they can't work because the restaurants are closed, but they're not allowed to go and try and get a job doing anything else. Yeah. Because they're sponsored by the restaurant. And these are people who haven't got, you know, they can't go back to their homelands because no one's traveling. So, you know, I think we have to be really careful of the people who slip through the gaps.
Yeah, big time. And I know there's been quite a lot of them. I know I've been trying to support down in South Australia, because I know there's quite a few in South Australia which have been struggling, and that because they haven't got those lifelines like we've done for our community up here on the East Coast. And that, so it's been a lot tougher for internationals in South Australia, which is unfortunate.
I guess, especially if there's a language difficulty as well.
Yeah, big time. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but hats off to how the industry's pulled together over COVID, and, you know, done what they've done. It's, you know, everyone's come together and really stood up together for once and gone, yes, we're going to fight this.
Yeah, it's amazing. And I think it is going to be a different world when all this is over. Yeah. And hopefully it will be more caring. But, you know, I know the topic of this is, you know, as well about exercise. I find in the morning, if I have some exercise and then come back, I feel it definitely helps your mood.
Yeah, I had to do the same thing, and that because I work in my office a lot, but from not getting out, and I had quite a big schedule before COVID of what I was doing each day, so I was constantly out in the air or up in the clouds, And that, so now it's, you know, been, you know, good to get up in the morning. It's my routine every day. Get up, go for a walk, and then start my day by 9 o'clock as normal. And yeah, it just makes a difference staying in that routine.
The other thing I do too is my to-do list.
Yeah.
We try to, and that was the other thing we did when we were in lockup. We'd each have three major things we wanted to, three major things we wanted to do in a day. Of course, there are a lot more as well, but we'd really try to report back to each other on that. Because the thing is, if there's something you're not wanting to do, that's what you should do first in the day, because then the rest of the day is a bonus.
Absolutely.
And that's how I feel about exercise. No one can take it away from you if you've done it. Whereas otherwise you get to 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock, and especially now it's getting dark, it's getting cold, and you think, will I go for a walk or will I have a gin and tonic? And I know which one I'll have.
That's it. No, we're pretty much the same. And you've got to get up and do it first thing. It's the best way to do it. And
yeah, definitely.
The longer you leave things, and we were talking about this in this morning segment, and that was, you know, and that set it, do it, and that do it, and even if it's just small little steps each day, and doing things, you know, gradually, you know, it all amounts up to what you want at the end of the day.
Yeah, you've got to get out in the fresh air and sunshine. Sunshine is really good for your mood.
That's right, sure is. No, well, thanks so much for taking time out of your day today, Lyndie, and joining us on today's episode.
That's my absolute pleasure, and great work, and keep on doing it.
Certainly work.
See everybody at the other side of this, and I'll be in those restaurants. I'll be very happy to be going into restaurants again, I can tell you.
Oh, you and me both. All right, thanks very much, Lyndie. We'll see you soon.
Bye.
What a fantastic show to kick off the week. If anyone is struggling with their mental health and would like to seek a professional, you can reach out to us at www.hospoforlife.com.au, and we can help you with a free one-on-one with a psychologist to get you started. Big thanks to our special guests for joining us today, and our partners, Warner's Gin and Altius Group, for supporting the show. We will catch you back here on Wednesday at our new time slot for another great episode discussing gratitude and positive emotions. And for last drinks, we'll be joined by chef and consultant Paul Foreman from Tasmania. Stay strong and stay united in spirit to create a positive change for a healthier industry. I'm Chef Liam Crawley. Have a good night.